Hey, we're back with Ruth 2. And if you remember, Ruth and Naomi are in Judah. They have just got into Judah. They had so many horrific events happen to them prior to coming, and now they only have emptiness on the horizon. And we're going to see right off the bat that Ruth asked Naomi a question. In verse 2, she says, "Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain, following one in whose eyes I may find favor." And she said to her, Naomi said to Ruth, "Go, my daughter." So she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech, Elimelech being the dead husband of Naomi. Now, what Ruth is asking is she is asking to go and walk into one of the provisions that the Lord had set for widows, and that was gleaning. They had a law in place where the edges of the field could not be harvested. Also, the middle of the field could only be harvested through one time. And this allowed the widows, the orphans in society to be able to get fruits and vegetables and grains. And Ruth is saying, hey, this is a provision set by the Lord, and I want to go do this. And here Naomi says, "Go, my daughter." I want us to understand that this was set for widows. People of Naomi's age would have been filling these fields and doing the gleaning. But yet Naomi doesn't go. And I don't see a bad attitude on Ruth, even though she could say, man, it would take half the time if you would go with me. But she continues to just walk and go. And there's not a fight laid out here. But I see that as part of the character of who Ruth is. But I also see it as part of the bitterness that probably sits in Naomi's heart as she doesn't even want to walk into the few provisions set out for God for her. But we see Ruth go, and even though it's in the heat of the sun, and even though it's exhausting work, and it's actually risky work, we have to understand, just like there's bad men now, there's bad men then. And a lot of times they would be able to identify the woman gleaning in the field as women who didn't have a male in their lives to be able to provide for them. And oftentimes they would be taken advantage of. And we're going to see that in a couple of the passages in the scriptures that we're going to go through here in the future in Ruth. But Ruth continues. She just plows forward and goes. And I love this because she doesn't just wait for like a meal to show up at our doorstep. She goes, here's a provision of the Lord. It may be degrading, but you know what? I'm going to walk through that because it's something that he's given me. I'm going to cling on to it even if it's a little something. In verse 4, we see Boaz come on the scene, and it says, "Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, 'May the Lord be with you.' And they said to him, 'May the Lord bless you.'" And I love this because here it says she happened to be in Boaz's field. Happen doesn't always just happen. God ordained for her to be in the field of Boaz on the same day that he comes. And we see this relationship that he has with his workers where they immediately bless each other. And so it kind of shows you he is a man of noble character. But then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And when he says, "Whose young woman is this?" he's not saying like, "Who is that?" He's saying, "Who does she belong to? Where does she fit in society?" And the servant in charge of the reapers replied, "She is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the land of Moab. And she said, 'Please let me glean and gather from the reapers among the sheaves.' So she came and has remained from the morning until now. And she has been sitting in the house for a little while, probably because she's exhausted." This says something about Boaz, that not only does he have respect with his workers, but he immediately noticed a face he didn't recognize amongst the gleaners. And so he knew the poor in society, and he looked and said, "Who is that? Where does she fit into society? I want to make sure this woman is immediately taken care of." And it's interesting that the foreman, the man in charge of all of the reapers, he immediately knew the character of who she is. Says, "Oh, that is the woman that came with Naomi. That is the woman that gave up her life in Moab to follow her mother-in-law." I think this is interesting because I think there's multiple pieces to this, like just these couple verses. And one is she is doing a tiring and a degrading task, and she has been doing it all day. She is exhausted and she's sitting in there. And that shows so much about her character, that even when something seems below her, she is still doing it faithfully. And I think that's a big piece for you and I to even learn. When God sets something out for us, if there's a job to be done that puts food on our tables, do we gripe and we complain, or do we say, "Thank you, Lord Jesus, because I have a job"? The way that we do even the tiring and exhausting tasks shows the character of who we are. You see, Ruth is already known for something. She's already known for showing up with Naomi when she didn't have to in Judah. But now they're seeing her character come out. When Naomi is still shunning the house and being mad and angry, Ruth is out there working hard to actually provide for her and for Naomi. She is getting a reputation, a beautiful reputation. And we're going to see that Boaz is going to notice this reputation, the character of who she is. And it makes me sit there and think about myself and go, what do I want to be known for? Am I known for my griping and my complaining and my questioning God? Or am I known for looking for the little tiny blessings and the provisions and pulling that out and making sure that I live up to that 110% to do it to my full potential, even if it's taking out the trash, going, thank you, Lord, that you have given me trash to take out. I think there's something to learn from the character of Ruth here, but it doesn't just stop here. We're going to see a conversation between Boaz and Ruth, but that's for the next devotion. Today, I want you to think about, what are you known for, and where does your character go before you, just like Ruth?